Good evening, my friends. How are we? I have one simple question. How are the best people on the internet doing today? Are we all good? Because I'm reading the chat and I'm feeling the love to each other, to the club, to the situation, to the manager. And why wouldn't you? Absolutely. Love it. I got freaked out for a second there, Morgan. I seen the word mute, but I just didn't see the not in front of it. And I'm thinking, oh, please don't be on mute. That was a nice intro. So I hope that you are all well tonight, and I hope that you're looking forward to a braggadocious, enthusiastic, fun-filled, happy stream with a little bit of referee bashing in there because, hey, you got to bash the referees, particularly when they're talking absolute pony. But we have loads of stuff to get through. We're going to be talking about the title of tonight's stream, of course, because you're all going to be asking me, Craig, is it true? Alonso, is it true? I'm going to give you what we're seeing in the media and go from there. And of course, as is everything, we back up our stream titles with an accompanying story or post. So we will go through it, don't worry. And it is looking more and more likely that Mr. Xabi Alonso is fancying the idea of a move to Liverpool based off what we can find out and see in the media. But as always, this is your show, my friends. So if there's any particular subjects that you want us to discuss, the floor is yours. Let me know. One thing I want to say before we get on the way. Did you guys see quite how close Harvey Elliott's header was to getting over the line in the final yesterday? I mean, I seen the image late last night. I'm sure you've probably seen it yourself. We are millimetres. We're talking millimetres from Elliott's header getting over the line. Of course, that's the situation where Dan's was blocked off by two Chelsea players as he tried to follow it up. It was good defending, in all honesty. But yeah, so close to that breakthrough last night with Elliott. That was millimetres away. What is it with us and goal line technology? We seem to really always just be a little bit short. And of all the technology, this is the one that I have the most faith in, to be fair. I'm not saying that the goal was over it now, not at all. It's just showing you how close, in fact, we were. But it didn't matter too much because Virgil van Dijk took it upon himself to make sure that he scored, not just once, but twice. And Dermot Gallagher performed his usual mental gymnastics on Sky Sports today on Ref Watch. But we won't start off with the ref rant. We have to get in with some positive news. I love the Carabao Cup emoji, by the way, for the members in the chat. So do feel free to spam that emoji for a bit if you need be. I'll tell you what, somebody posted this image on social media yesterday. Actually, I think I recognise the logo. I want to say it was Liverpool Transfer Room or LFC Transfer Room. So I'm going to give them the credit for this. But they posted a picture of basically all the young players celebrating the Carabao Cup win last night, where they started from, what age they joined the club, and where they are now. And it truly is remarkable. So I'm going to go through it one by one, and we're going to talk about how good the club have been at the recruitment. So Stefan Bajcetic was the first person on this image, and I believe it is LFC Transfer Room, so do check out their socials to see it. Stefan Bajcetic, 16 years of age when he joined from Celta Vigo, and I think if my memory's right, he cost us about €300,000. Jarell Quansah joined Liverpool Football Club, aged 8. Connor Bradley joined age 16 from Dungannon Swifts. Jayden Dan's been with Liverpool like Jarell Quansah since he was 8 years of age. Bobby Clark joined at 16 from Newcastle. Harvey Elliott joined at 16 from Fulham. James McConnell joined at 15 from Sunderland. Ben Doak joined at 16 from Celtic. Lewis Kumas joined age 11 from Tranmere. And Trey Neone joined age 16 from Leicester. That just goes to show you the impact that those purchases at underage level and the work of the academy has had on the team. I've never seen Klopp as proud as he was yesterday. It was honestly so heartwarming to see the gaffer beaming with pride. A little bit of confusion because I think even he was shocked at how well the Reds did. But it's beautiful to see. And there was a lovely image of Trey Neone doing the rounds as well yesterday. I think he was doing the stadium tour at one point as a younger child with a Liverpool ball on, and to know he's also a Liverpool fan like Harvey Elliott and some of these guys coming through, it just makes it all the more sweet, all the more satisfying, all the more heartwarming to see the boys do it yesterday. Now, I've reached out to a few Chelsea supporting mates today as well to, of course, offer my condolences, but gauge the temperature of the Chelsea fan base. It ain't great. It's getting very bitter on the Chelsea side by the looks of it. Not that they weren't acknowledging our victory, I don't mean it in that way at all, but they certainly feel like there was added criticism to be had for their players and manager because they lost to the kids. So there is that to go through as well. And we'll touch on all of that this evening. Did you see Szoboszlai being a shithouse to that Chelsea fan yesterday? Love it. I didn't. No, I didn't, Ashley. What I did see was the Liverpool fans winding up Enzo. Did you see that? That video was hilarious. Unlucky, lad. Unlucky. And then Enzo acting like he's about to go all hard and on. The lads just absolutely pissing themselves laughing. That made my night last night, to be honest with you. Of all the bits of content I've seen, that was my favourite. On the young signings, Kop's been signing these young boys from day one, said JBK405. John Power said, Craig, I'm looking forward to seeing the young players on Wednesday night. They are amazing. I mean, I love it. Keep it coming. I don't disagree with any of it. Wednesday night's going to be a very interesting team selection for Jurgen. Mate, if you're still free in Boston on the 24th of the 3rd to join my mate and I for the New England Revolution game, would you believe, Footbooker, we're actually going to that game. So, happy to meet up in and around it as well, mate. But genuinely, we are actually going to the New England Revolution Chicago game. Brian sorted out some tickets for us. Brian, LFC USA, is a season ticket holder for the New England Revolution. So believe it or not, bud, we're going to be going to that game. So yes, absolutely, more than happy to meet up, have a drink, say hello or whatever if you're around. Be our pleasure. But yeah, there you go. When we go to a city, mate, we want to try and, enjoy the city as much as we can. And take in a football game in the MLS, well, that's part of it. Do we know if Endo is injured? Yes, we do know. Oh, did you want the actual information, Simon? Sorry, couldn't help it. No, he's not injured, mate. He was on training today. And there's pictures of him on the training pitch. No crutches, no boot, no nothing. Just Endo being a boss. So yeah, it doesn't look like Endo's injured. It was protective yesterday as we thought. Bit of a contact injury or something. But today, on the training pitch, looking magnificent as he always does. So yes, good news on the Enzo front. Or Endo, not Enzo. Bad news on the Enzo front. Good news on the Endo front. The officials doing their best to fix the game, in my opinion. I think they're corrupt. So, Scallywag, I'm going to get to that. But before I do, I want to just give you guys who are in early the context for the title of tonight's stream. So, let me just get to my notes, and then I can give you the actual information about where we are and why we're saying what we're saying. So, LFC transfer room again, who I feel like have featured quite a bit so far tonight. They say, according to one of the journalists they spoke to, Santi_J, Liverpool had positive contact with Xabi Alonso. The manager wants the move to the Reds and will continue to push in the next few weeks. Bayern is there, but for now, Alonso is more excited to join Liverpool. So that's the start of the onslaught, but I think over the coming days and weeks you'll see more and more of this. I mentioned it to you guys last night as well. There's no way that Xabi Alonso was not sitting in Germany looking at that final, looking at the travelling cop, looking at the players, looking at what it meant to them all, looking at the celebrations, and wasn't thinking to himself anything other than, I could work with that. I could work there. Wouldn't mind a bit of that myself. Wouldn't mind a bit of those celebrations. Now, of course, he has his own celebrations, hopefully, to look forward to this season with Leverkusen, and we all wish them the best in their chasing down to the Bundesliga title. Don't wish them the best in the Europa League, of course, because we want to win that. But, yeah, it won't go unnoticed by Alonso that is a special club. It's just a reminder to him that Liverpool is a special place to be and a special club to be part of. Gravenberg news, I don't really have any at the moment, mate, in all honesty. Mohamed Salah was filming a Pepsi Egypt advert in Liverpool today, so he must be pretty much ready to get back as well, because in the advert he's running along the street. So I would say Mo definitely ready for the Nottingham Forest game, but I think the big question is, are we going to see Mohamed Salah involved somewhat, whether it's in the squad or starting against Southampton on Wednesday? I don't know the answer, by the way, but again, these are all positive signs that the players are getting back to fitness. And again, Endo walking out with a big smile on his face in his training kit is a good sign as well. Salah was running fast as. Well, none of them were running anywhere near as fast as Mr. Darwin Núñez. Did you see that boy celebrating when Verd scored? Oh my God. He was throwing everyone out of the way. Curtis Jones, injured as he was nearly getting thrown over the side of the steps. Nobody was standing between our boy Darwin and his celebrations. It was amazing. Do I have Bajcetic news? Nope. He's the hardest one to get any information on. Calf injury is the only thing we've been able to find out on Bajcetic. But do keep an eye on the training pictures over the next few days. I do get the feeling Stefan's probably not that far away from starting to step up recovery based off some of the murmurings and stuff you see in the media. If Darwin's fit, is Darwin fit enough for Wednesday? Well, the answer is I don't know exactly. But nobody's going to tell me that the boy doing all that yesterday, leaping over things like he's in the Olympics, is really injured. Like, he might be feeling something, but he was feeling no pain at all yesterday when he was vaulting over advertising hoardings and fences and all this other stuff. I love him. I just love him. He's mad. I love him. Craig, still wild in South Africa. How are we? Welcome in. Great to have you with us. Right, so I want to talk about referees for a little minute, if I may, because I knew what was going to happen today when Dermot Gallagher stepped onto Ref Watch on Sky. So I wanted to pull a couple of examples of reasons why I think Dermot Gallagher and the referees are getting it all very wrong. I want to try and be as respectful as I can while doing this piece because I don't want it to be demonetized and I don't want to seem aggressive or anything. But I'm going to take you through what was said on Ref Watch, and then we're going to talk about refereeing in general and this search for perfection in a sport where perfection is unobtainable and what that may lead to. So the incident we're going to start off with is Caicedo avoiding any punishment for a challenge on Ryan Gravenberch. Dermot said, I think he was slightly lucky in so much as if Chris had brought it back, Chris being the referee, for a yellow card, he's right to play on because Liverpool have advantage. Now I want to stop it just there for a second. Go back and watch it, and if I'm wrong on this, I apologise. But I remember Chris Kavanagh pointing at the ball as if to say he got the ball, not play advantage, which is two arms out in front of him like that. That's the advantage signal. He pointed to the ball like Caicedo or somebody got the ball. Then he goes on to say, he's no idea that the injury to Gravenberch has been sustained. What do you mean? He's no idea. Gravenberch's lying on the floor. What more hint do you want? But if he goes back and gives a yellow card to Caicedo, I'd understand that. And this is the line that really wound me up. It would have pacified everybody. Pacified, mate? Pacified? What about when Jones was sent off? Or Rashford was sent off in Europe for similar things? Or Maguire was given a booking, but a different player was sent off only this weekend again for a similar incident, I believe. But anyway, the real fume for me came not only with the incident on Gravenberch, because I do understand if the ref had seen it, probably was a yellow. But the fact that he got through that game with 7 fouls and no booking is disgusting, whether you're going for the totting up process or the fouls. But it's the one about the offside that gets me. And I'm going to try and tie this together for you as well. So Dermot said, I think it was the right decision. John Brooks, who's on VAR, alerted the referee because none of the match officials would have seen it on the field. You see that Enzo doesn't look at the ball at all. The sole thing is the block Colwill and he's in an offside position. The interesting thing too is Colwill gets pulled by Van Dijk as well, so 2 Liverpool players interfere with him. Chris Kavanagh has to go to the monitor because it's a subjective decision. If he sees that, he disallows the goal. So here's my take. If you want to start doing what they did there, forensically analysing every bit of action that goes on in a penalty area or on the edge of it, you are going to have penalties, free kicks, yellow cards galore in every set piece. But let's just hold it for 1 second. So Endo was in an offside position and then comes back and is judged to have fouled. Let's tackle that part first. Does anybody remember a certain incident when we played Burnley? I'm going to remind you about it right now, just so you have some facts in front of you. When we played Burnley, Mohamed Salah was pushed into an offside position to rule out, I believe, a Harvey Elliott goal. Remember that? Pushed into it. And what were we told? That was unlucky. Remember? Now, I don't know if unlucky is written into the laws of the game, Dermot, but we were told at the time that that was unlucky. No, it wasn't. It was a foul. The same way you're trying to say Endo's was a foul. But when it happens to us, it's unlucky and tough. But when it happens against us, again, forensic analysis all the way through to rule it out. Now, the second part of what he said about Van Dijk interfering with Colwill and grabbing hold of him, go back and watch that again. Watch what happens when Van Dijk goes to score and Chilwell's beside him. Chilwell grabs Van Dijk's collar by the scruff of the neck on the front and drags him. Verge is too strong and scores the header anyway. So again, I'm going to say, if you want to hide behind your decisions and do mental gymnastics to try and justify them or to agree with your mates, and remember here, these are mates. Mike Dean, another Sky Sports representative, did not send his mate, Anthony Taylor, to the monitor when Cucurella's hair was pulled, not because it wasn't a foul, but because, and I quote, I didn't want to get my mate in trouble. So once again, we are now seeing mental gymnastics performed by the officials. And it isn't that the rules are being enforced. It's they're interpreting the rules how they want. And the best way I feel I can summarise all of this and bring it together is the areas of the pitch and the contact that is made. So tonight, before I started this stream, I was watching a little bit of the West Ham game against Brentford. An incident in the first half, I think about 20 minutes in, a Brentford player gets barged into on the edge of the penalty area by a West Ham defender. Doesn't go near the ball's 3 or 4 yards away, goes straight into the back of him, and the player goes to ground. Commentary and everybody starts saying, ooh, he's running a risk there. Ooh, but he didn't get a penalty, did he? Now, let me ask you a question. Sincerely, anybody watching this. If that was reversed and a forward went into the back of a defender and the defender went to the ground on the same part of the pitch in the same exact situation, what do you think would happen? He'd give a free out because they do it multiple times every game. Look at yesterday, Chilwell was flopping down on the ground. It happens all the time. What we're seeing in the forensic analysis of the games by officials is the double-sided, hypocritical nature of the way football rules are interpreted. Rather than it being a foul, it's a foul in one part of the pitch. So what we're seeing with refereeing right now is referees giving defenders the benefit of the doubt all the time, whether it's a handball or a foul, but opposing players who are attacking, they're looking for any reason to rule out a goal or any reason to give a free kick out. If something's a free kick out, or if something's a handball from an attacker, it has to work the other way as well, or the whole system is full of hypocrisy and judgment. You see it every single week. You know I'm spot on. Fouls in one part of the pitch that will get given for that, the slightest touch, but not in another part of the pitch, or not if it's an attacking player. And these, my friends, are the hypocrisy that we, the football public, are going to have to get used to or challenge the PGMOL on if they want to look so forensically at every little movement. What's good for the goose has to be good for the gander. You don't get to referee with feelings. You don't get to referee on what they like to say, the feeling of the game. You have to enforce the rules correctly, or you're just showing yourself up to be hypocrites. And I think that's what's happening. They're showing themselves up to have different levels of a threshold in different parts of the pitch, whether you're defending or attacking. It feels like VAR has been brought in to eliminate goals, and all it's doing is ruining your enjoyment of the game. You score. Look at Van Dijk's goal. Scored. We look to the linesman. No flag. Everybody celebrates. 2 minutes go by. Then all of a sudden we have to look at VAR. Now all of a sudden we're trying to figure out what VAR we're looking at. And it goes on and on and on. And it's pathetic and it ruins the game. And it's going to happen week after week after week after week. Referees need to either admit that they're hypocrites in how they officiate games, or we need to stop this search for perfection, because it isn't attainable in football. You're always going to have subjective decisions. And while you have subjective decisions, you're going to have referees being able to interpret rules in a subjective way. And whether we want to admit this or not, potentially impact the outcome of a game, a title race, or a competition. So if we want perfection, it has to be all around, but it's not obtainable. So the real question is, what do we do here? What do we do moving forward? Because how many weeks can we sit through this? How many weeks can you and I, the football public, see this blatant hypocrisy and lack of consistency from officials? I'd love to know your thoughts. All Endo did was stand still in the box. It's madness. If you look at the freeze frame picture of it, right? And who asked that question? Scallywag. If you look at the freeze frame picture, what do you see? Colwill with his 2 arms around Endo, who's standing there. Also, if you fast forward it on, there's no way Colwill was getting near Van Dijk to get to that ball. The whole thing was farcical. And I told you what was going to happen today. But the real football fraternity all said unequivocally it was a joke. The whole decision was a joke. You know it, I know it, football knows it. But the problem for us is I don't think the PGMOL care. Love that Klopp snubbed the handshake. So, I don't like to see a manager snubbing a handshake with anybody, but I can understand that what other form of protest has the man got left at this point? What else can he say? You know, Pochettino had his say during the week, and he got in Chris Kavanagh's head and John Brooks' head by the looks of it. And to see these mental gymnastics of Dermot Gallagher every week, it's... Even his own thought processes aren't the same week in and week out on similar incidents. Have I got an injury update? Who would you like to know about? I'll give you what I know, and hopefully that helps out a little bit. So Mohamed Salah was pictured running today as he was filming a Pepsi Egypt advert in Liverpool. And he certainly looked like he was able to get up to full speed. So I would imagine Mohamed Salah will be in contention for Wednesday, but absolutely available for Nottingham Forest on Saturday. Darwin Núñez, truth is I don't know at the moment, but we all seen Darwin doing his Olympic trials impression yesterday, jumping over everything on his way to the pitch, so he doesn't look that far away. Curtis Jones, no, won't be available yet. You could see he was still in pain, coming down those steps, limping. The good news, though, and the big concern was around Wataru Endo, of course. Obviously, we know about Ryan Gravenberch, and I don't have an update on Gravenberch yet. But Wataru Endo was back on the training pitch today in his training gear, normally, which is great to see. Szoboszlai, well, you heard him say, or maybe you didn't, but he said he was almost fighting with the doctors because he wanted to play. So yeah, I would imagine the 3 big absentees that were close yesterday will be ready for the weekend. That's my feeling of it, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm very intrigued to see what team we're able to put together for Wednesday night against Southampton. What about Gravenberch and Endo? Endo I've gone through, no worries there. Gravenberch, truly don't know yet. And I don't know if the club know yet. Sometimes these things the swelling has to go down before they do the scans. Sometimes they're okay. So honestly, mate, I don't know. Did I see 442's video yesterday for the final, said Conor Geraghty? I did. Billion pound blue bottler sitting on the wall. That video, yes, it was brilliant. The only thing that 442's video, and thank you for your super chat, Connor, was missing was me at the end of it running on going, woo! Shout out 442's. Come on, boys. Get Craig in there. I'm not hard to draw. You know, big head, fat belly, waddle on. Job done. But yeah, it was brilliant. I love 442's, as you know. Would I take Disasi from Chelsea? No. I don't want any of those little mercenaries at our football club. So you know what yesterday showed at Wembley? More than anything, it showed that there's levels to fandom. Look at the opposing sets of fans. One set of the fans, amazing. Liverpool fans, singing, encouraging, having a good time, enjoying the Wembley experience, living and breathing the game, getting behind their team. The other lot, quiet as a dormouse, waving their plastic blue flags like the plastic blues that they are. And it showed. There's a difference. There's a cultural difference. There's a huge difference in how football is supported in different parts. And Liverpool fans, come on now. head and shoulders above those Chelsea fans yesterday. Thank you, I am not a mate. Greetings from Germany. Well, you are a mate. If you don't want to be a mate, that means that you don't want to be here. I call everybody mate. And if you don't want me to call you mate, then sorry, but it's a term of endearment, so I don't know what I've particularly done wrong there. I've answered your question. I've addressed you politely. And I don't know what to say, dude. Was there booing at the beginning? What happened there? Are we talking about the booing of the national anthem? Yes, there was booing of the national anthem. I'm not going to get into why the national anthem is being booed. It's a very long story going back to the establishment and how they treated the city of Liverpool, the people of Liverpool, with disdain and inflicted financial hardship intentionally on the city. With a lot more involved, by the way. There's nuances of this that as a non-local I simply don't understand. But Simon Jordan and all these other pearl clutchers that love to just get sound bites and say, I don't understand why they're booing the national anthem. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You just don't want to acknowledge it because you'd rather be bitter and vilify again and again and again. The problem here for him is the good people of Liverpool don't give a shite what Simon Jordan, TalkSport, or any of the other pearl-clutching London-centric media want to say. They have their right and their reason, and if they want to boo the national anthem, that's up to them. I'm not here to talk about it because, quite frankly, as an Irishman, I couldn't give a shite about the English national anthem. Doesn't nothing to do with me. Don't care. Can fully understand why Liverpool fans boo the national anthem, said I am Tyler Gray. So Poch, I see somebody in the chat saying Poch gets fired again after losing the Klopp. There is a headline today breaking. Sam Mockbull, I think it's the Mail or the Mirror, excuse me for not knowing which one, transfer sector have posted breaking. There are significant doubts about Pochettino's future after the cup final defeat to Liverpool. European qualification set to be a determining factor in his future. Ruben Amorim is someone that Chelsea have a long-standing interest in. So, a couple of things to break down there, right? Firstly, we all told you when Poch said that, we'll qualify for Europe. When he said that, it was going to come back to bite him in the arse. And I warned all week, this was bigger for Chelsea. This final was Poch on the line. That promise of European football now looks to rest on the FA Cup. So the fact that he's under pressure doesn't surprise me, but also I don't know what they expect. When a manager doesn't get to come in and build the squad himself and build the team and has to just be at the whim of Todd Bowley's stupidity, it's going to happen over and over again. And I think Chelsea are going to end up like the boy who cried wolf. They're going to end up pushing away anybody. So they've mentioned Ruben Amorim there. Do they believe that Ruben Amorim or any other potential targets for Chelsea from a playing side haven't looked at the situation at Chelsea? Haven't looked at how they treated Pochettino, how they treated the managers before him, the money Todd Bowley spent and wasted? Hasn't looked at how Caicedo hasn't settled in, how Lavia has been an absolute nightmare so far with the injury? So they aren't the attractive proposition. They're like that good-looking person, maybe me, who put on a load of weight one summer and came back and still had some attractive features, but ultimately wasn't the same stunner that they once were. That's my take on it. And I would certainly, if I was a player, because you'll see them linked to strikers galore this summer, I wouldn't go near them. Not a chance. I'd far more likely go to the likes of an Arsenal or a Spurs than Chelsea. It is a ruthless club without a soul, in my opinion, on how they've treated some managers and players. And Todd Bowley is that guy that thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, but is showing himself up to be very foolish at the moment in everything. Because he's leveraged, remember? He's leveraged Chelsea with those long-term contracts for those players, thinking he was being clever, thinking he could get around the profit and sustainability rules by making the players on long contracts. But the downside of that is, when these players like Caicedo or others start to fail, or Mudryk, nobody will touch them because they're going to sit there with their agents going, we have 6 years left on our contract. I'm not moving on to go somewhere else for less money. Pay me. And they're in hardship already because this coming out earlier on, Matt Law of the Times of the Telegraph, I'm not sure which one, I think Telegraph, Chelsea's rivals believe the club must make major sales by June 30th to avoid spending breaches. So how's that working out for you, Todd? There's only so many also-rans that your friends in Saudi will come in and rescue and send over to the Saudi Pro League, mate. Eventually that well's going to run dry because they're going to realise you're sending them a load of frauds. I couldn't be any happier. Yesterday was like heaven. I hate Chelsea. Hate them. For the same reasons I despise Manchester City, really. Don't like them, but more so, don't like the arrogance of some of their fans. Don't like the waving of fivers and tenors. Don't like the behaviour. And they got what they deserved. Nothing. And they're beaten by a bunch of kids. Say it again. They were beaten by a bunch of kids. Now, on Gary Neville, I want to make a point. The blue £1 billion bottle jobs. Not very professional there, Gary. Because remember, these mainstream media often like to look down their nose at me, Goldbridge, AFTV, or anybody else for their comments, call us over the top and harsh. Well, how did that sound on Sky, Gary? Did that sound like a soundbite maybe, Gary? Or, you know, have you suddenly grown a backbone and you're going to speak up? Because, as an example, somebody who actually carries himself with a bit of class, Gary Lineker, well, he wasn't best pleased with what Gary Neville had to say. And speaking on the Rest is Football podcast, he said, I thought Gary Neville was quite harsh. What was it? The billionaire blue bottlers? It was a bit strong. They could easily have won that game. I thought Cole Palmer was a standout for Chelsea. Also, weighing in on this debate, Mika Richards added, it's a great line, but it was a bit over the top. So you're having to resort to YouTube tactics, Gary, to get noticed. Here's the thing though, mate. You're all just poor YouTubers. You wouldn't make it in our industry, bro. But that's okay. You just stick to being the Prime Minister of football, or whatever it is in your pyjamas at night with your coffee you think you are. But the rest of us, mate, we live in the real world. Now, I enjoyed it. But it's not very professional on a broadcast, is it, Gary? Oh, I was fine with it as well, Padraig. I'm absolutely sound with it. But if that's the way they're going, it feels like they feel like they need those sound bites. Anyway, loads more to go through. What's the next one? So, Liverpool are planning an open-top bus parade. Not because we won the League Cup, by the way. Don't worry. Through the city centre at the end of the season, so supporters can say farewell to Jurgen Klopp, even if the club win no more trophies. I think that's the right decision. It will be belittled and mocked by some opposition fans who will claim it's Liverpool winning a League Cup and trying to do a trophy parade. It's deeper than that. It is exactly what has been written there. It is so the people and the fans of Liverpool can give them the send-off and give Jurgen the send-off that his 9-year tenure as manager of the football club deserves, because he's galvanised the city. And I would speak for some Blues here, because there's a lot of Everton fans as well that have a lot of respect for Jurgen Klopp. The fact that their own manager is a Liverpool fan as well, I believe, and Mr. Sean Dyche just makes me chuckle a bit more. But they'll try and undermine it, as they always do, but I think it's a great decision, and I think Jurgen's certainly deserving of the big send-off, even if we had no trophies, because the man's made a massive difference. Will Chelsea care about FFP? Does 6 points matter? So, what you need to remember, Whitehammer, about the FFP and the 6 point deduction for Everton is that was for one breach. One. We don't know how many potential breaches Chelsea could fall under. And does 6 points matter? Well, it's not just 6 points, because then when they qualify back for Europe, they also have to get past the, 70%? I'm trying to remember my numbers here. 70% threshold of turnover on wages and transfer fees and stuff like that. So they'll have to satisfy another system at that point. And the Premier League are voting or are discussing going in line with the UEFA FFP model of 70% of turnover is the maximum you're allowed to spend. What's this Connor's just sent me? Are you ready for some more laughs? Before we get to that, Got Cool, thank you for your super chat, sir. Got Cool said, I really hope we win another trophy with Klopp. Oh, I think we will. I do, mate. I think we will. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say which one because, lots still to play. But yesterday was the first of hopefully a few. Let's say that. Now, before I get into the funny part of what Connor just sent me, just a little reminder. As you can see on the screen, we are in Boston next month. 22nd of March. It is, just over 3.5 weeks away or so. If you are in that neck of the woods, and especially if you're part of an official Liverpool supporters club. If you are part of an official Liverpool supporters club in that neck of the woods, please reach out to us, contact at AnfieldAgenda.com, and we'd happily give you some tickets to come along, because we want to reach out and connect to locals. So if you're in that neck of the woods and you want to buy tickets to the show, you can get them on Ticketmaster. The link is in the description of the stream. Or, of course, you can email us if you're part of an OLSC, and we'd happily give you guys some free tickets to come along. Because it's not about a moneymaker. It's about reaching out and connecting with people. And we would appreciate it if you guys want to come along. Let us know. We'd love to see you. Right, so back to the funny part. News coming in from Chris Wheeler said, Manchester United are willing to listen to offers for Anthony, but may struggle to recoup even half of the £86 million or €100 million they paid for him. I would say half? I don't know about that, lads. Half sounds optimistic. Unless Ajax fancy taking him back. I don't know. What's Anthony worth? Let me know in the chat. What's Anthony worth right now? Open market value. Because his open market value before United bought him was nowhere near €100 million. It was probably in the 40 to 50 million euro category. That's hilarious to me, honestly. Russian Honey Badger, I believe I missed your super chat, bro. Sorry, I've scrolled back up to it. Can we laugh at Caicedo, who regrets life without Klopp and struggling against kids? Forget Enzo. Our boy is better. Screw money grabbing young players. I said it all the time, mate. I said it when he rejected us to go to Chelsea. It was the wrong move. And the fact that his agent in any way advised him to join Chelsea over Liverpool tells you all that agent's about. Because nobody will ever convince me that was in his best interests to go and play for Chelsea with a very unsteady system of manager and new owner, and it was all a bit grubby and messy. You could have come to Liverpool and walked into a rebuilt midfield in a team where you would have been idolised by the fans, coached a lot better, and become the player that you were capable of becoming. But it'll be another lesson to players who want to reject the advances of Liverpool to look after their finances. If that's what you want in football, by all means. But sometimes you got to think, what do I want to tell my grandkids? What do I want to tell my great-grandkids? I want to sit there and talk about medals, trophies, achievements. And not the soulless pit that is Stamford Bridge. But enjoy it, because we've got Waturo, and pretty good, you know. Right, so valuations of Anthony. 35 at most, said Robert Solden. 10 million, says Jean-Pierre Stevens. Jeffrey Beach said 5p. We dodged the bullet, said HEXIC with regards to Caicedo. 77777. There's too many sevens there. Million. Minus 2 million, said George. Nice. Anthony worth about 27 million, said Alan McLemont. Love that, Alan. We've got a tenner from Jay in the chat. Jay's willing to offer a tenner from. So look, there's 2,400 people in the chat on a nightly stream, which is amazing. Thank you. If you guys haven't dropped a like on the stream, please do. And of course, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I'm going to go back to tonight's stream title, because I know a lot of you guys will be coming and asking about that. So I'm just getting my notes together here. Bear with me uno momento. Sorry. There we go. So, this coming in again from @Santi_J_FM. You guys probably recognize him as being somebody that a lot of the transfer accounts would mention when it comes to information. You can gather whether you think he's reliable or not. But what our friends at LFC Transfer Room have wrote is Liverpool had new positive contacts with Xabi Alonso. The manager wants the move to the Reds, who will continue to push in the next few weeks. Bayern is there, but now Xabi Alonso is more excited to join Liverpool. Well, he was always more excited to join Liverpool. It was only Florian Plettenberg and the deluded German television networks that believed in any way, shape or form that he fancied Bayern over Liverpool. Again, it's one of those examples for me of people with a platform saying stuff, hoping we believe it more than thinking we're going to believe it. Nobody believed Alonso was going to prefer Bayern. Nobody. Not because Bayern are shit or anything, but because one, he's at a German club. Two, be a bit weird moving from the club you just won the league with to an inferior team who are in a little bit of trouble. Much easier if you wanted to make the break to come back to your home. Well, after Sociedad, I guess. And be idolised at Liverpool by your adoring public who have a great squad waiting for you and 60,000 people inside Anfield and a club going in the right direction with good finances and that has been well run from top to bottom. So yeah, come on home, Xabi. Come on home. It's time. Win the league title there in the Bundesliga, pal, and then come on home. City will definitely come with more countermeasures against Endo. He and Liverpool will have to go above and beyond. He can do it, I believe. City can come with what they want to Anfield, mate. I truly believe that game is going to be insufferable for Manchester City. I believe that stadium is going to be at its raucous, bear pit, intimidating, loud, vociferous best. And Manchester City aren't used to that. Manchester City are used to their soulless stadium with their electronic banners and flags and their empty seats. So let them bring what they may. I think we're going to have too much for them. But I would say that, wouldn't I? Do you think people are starting to put a bit more respect on Kelleher? I should hope so. I don't mean that to sound rude, but I should bloody well hope so. People sometimes in our fan base, and look, I'm not excluded from this, by the way, can be reactionary to a fault at points and can scapegoat many times. Sometimes they want to scapegoat because they don't want to admit that their favourite player made a mistake and they want to point otherwise. Sometimes they scapegoat because they just want to vent. And with Kelleher, I think it was more just frustration at certain things that happened because he isn't Alisson. But what I hope has happened over the last while is that you've seen when Kelleher has had to step in and have a bunch of games together and got himself into a match rhythm, what he's all about, which is a quality operator that is working and training with the best goalkeeper in the world. In my opinion, it's the best goalkeeping centre in the world. And he's performed admirably. That cup final, he had an XG that he faced of, I believe, just under 2.9 or something like that. And they scored 0. In the 2 finals against Chelsea, he's faced 3.5 XG and conceded 0. His distribution, phenomenal. You've seen the attempt for the ball over the top to Diaz against Luton. Look, he isn't Alisson. But my God, if he isn't one of the best number 2s in the world, I don't know. And he deserves every bit of credit that comes his way, as does the coaches, the manager, and his teammates. But yeah, I'm immensely proud of Caoimhín Kelleher. And I thought he was... I don't think... The best compliment I can give him is I don't think Alisson could have done anything better yesterday. Phenomenal. I love seeing you grow, Craig. Kudos to you and the guys in the background. Thank you, Jay. It's amazing, bro. I'm not going to lie to you. My heart is filled with pride over the last few months of where we're heading. If you look at the watch-alongs yesterday of what I like to see as our comparables, outside of That's Football, and let's be honest, Goldbridge and That's Football, they're in another tier. I'm not afraid to admit that. They're the very, very, very top of the industry. But we're the best of the rest. And we're whooping, and I mean whooping, our comparables. And I'm a little idiot from Ireland, with another little idiot from Ireland. And now, less of an idiot from the UK, along with us. With no backing from financial advisors or investment firms or other famous people, with no TV coverage, radio coverage, no pushing of the mainstream media, no mention in any of the newspapers, articles. We're overlooked consistently and have been from day one. But what you can't overlook and ignore is that the chat's growing. The community's growing. People enjoy it because of the warmth and friendliness of each other, because of the camaraderie, because of the consistency of work, and because something we're doing is registering with people. Now, I don't know what all that is, but I tell you what, you'll struggle to find somebody who isn't more grateful for it than I am. I don't know where this goes. I've said it all along, but I tell you what, I am so proud of you guys, of what we're doing. Don't know what the future holds, but my God, at least I have a future, which I didn't have a few years ago in my mind. So thank you. And I hope we continue to go in the right direction, because I'm living a dream. How many teams are looking at Kelleher? Too many teams, looking at Kelleher now. I mean, we're in a tricky situation in the summer. Like, I don't know what best to happen. You know, one part of me thinks Kelleher's stock is probably at an all-time high now, and Liverpool could get a premium from, and more so than that, and more importantly than that, if Kelleher does move on, I feel like he can now go and expect a higher level of club than he may have got a year ago. So it is going to be a difficult decision to make in the summer. Obviously, from a selfish perspective, I hope he stays at Liverpool, and Alonso, or whoever the next manager is, continues to find ways to give him games. But, you know, I can understand if he decides he needs to move on. Of course I can get that. Football careers are short, and, you know, being a goalkeeper isn't like being in another position. There isn't ways you can be shoehorned in or given minutes here. That you're a keeper. Unless the keeper's out, you ain't getting a look in. So yeah, whatever happens, happens. But I guess the question I'd like to ask you guys is, how much is he worth right now? You know, I mean, I know we can get carried away. I think realistically 20 to 25 million, I think, is probably Kelleher's valuation at the moment. You know, you might disagree with that, but that's where I think we're at with Kelleher. He probably put 5-6 million on his price tag over his performances recently. I agree with you, Nomad. Nomad said, I'd insert a buyback clause in his transfer if he went. I think that's... yeah, I agree with you, mate. I think that's a good idea. So Blair's video channel said 20 million. John Deere, 25 million. Corin McKeown, 2025. Thorsten, 30. Magnus, 30. Don't know... Could Chelsea do and sub him on for penalties? Said it's the journeyman. 30 million for Cam Vibes, Namaste. Who else we got? Nith said 35. Pranav 25. John Stack 30. Press Salah 35. Malcolm 25. Craig Fairbrother 30. So I think, and look, I apologise, I haven't got through everyone's valuations there, but I think from what you guys, I think it's fair to say we're in and around the 25, maybe a smidgen higher category, maybe 30. And yeah, isn't that good to say though? There's not many backup goalkeepers in world football that you could realistically look at 25 to 30 million pound for, is there? Like, there isn't a whole lot out there for that money. Oh, Bowen hat-trick, is it, Mark? So Bowen makes it 3-1. There you go, that's a Bowen hat-trick. Well done to him. Hands up if you have Bowen in your FPL. Hands up if he's your captain. No, not me, unfortunately. I didn't have his captain. I had Ollie Watkins as captain. But he is in my FPL, so not too shabby. Thank you, Mr. Jared Bowen, for that. I mean, if you've triple captain Bowen this week, ooh, that'd be a delicious L point score, wouldn't it? Magnus has got Bowen, love it. Craig, do we have enough players back for the City game? Oh, yes. Yeah. At that point, Amini, don't worry about it. Endo was training today, bro, so it doesn't look like he's out. Salah, well, he was running in a Pepsi Egypt video that was being filmed in Liverpool, so he looks close to being back or ready to go. Well, he was back. It was just more a bit of fatigue there after coming back from his hamstring injury. Darwin looked good to me when he was vaulting over those gates and stuff at Wembley. So yeah, I think we will. I'm more concerned about what type of team we put out tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, Wednesday against Southampton. That's going to be an interesting selection for Jurgen. Mark said 2,311 in the chat. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Yes, please do. If you haven't subscribed, folks, we'd love you to hit that button. Craig, could Kelleher be our number one if Alisson ever leaves? Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't see Alisson leaving in the next 2-3 years. But could he be? Absolutely. There's some good goalkeepers out there in world football. There are. But he's come through the system, knows the team inside out, has trained with the team. Of course he could. Congrats on the Carabao Cup win, said Chris. Thank you, Chris. I think this season, mate, in all honesty, it's about a bit more than a Carabao Cup for us, right? It's about giving Jurgen the big send-off. And if a Wembley experience and a Carabao Cup, look, I get it. It's the smallest of the competitions, but it's a start of the long goodbye and giving Jurgen that big send off that everyone had hoped for. So, hopefully we can get a few more trophies over the line this season and give Jurgen that memorable. I mean, this documentary that they're filming around Jurgen Klopp's last few months at the club, that is going to be epic. I mean, at this point, I'm already thinking Disney Plus or whoever it is, like, just take my money. Just take it. Welcome to Anfield Agenda FCJ. Appreciate you, mate. What about Brian? Can we get a second to talk about Brian, by the way, LFC USA? He gifted 150 memberships yesterday. When we hit 244,000, he gifted 100. He'd already gifted 50 before that. What a man. What a man. Whatever we've done to deserve that man in our lives, I don't know, but he's been a good friend behind the scenes to me, a mentor on certain things. I'm going over to travel to Vegas with him and his brother as well in October. Obviously, the reason we're coming to Boston for the show, this show right here, by the way, is because, and I'll be honest with you, Brian travelled over with his brother from Boston to Dublin for a little show in Dublin. And when we knew we were going to try and do a show overseas, Boston was the first place we thought of, because obviously the Irish connection, the connection with our friend Brian, and the help he's given us in sourcing the venue and all that kind of stuff. I just want to take a second to say thank you. If you're watching, mate, if you're not, we appreciate you anyway, but I know how much you mean to the community as well, because the amount of people you've gifted subs to and made happy is a beautiful thing. Team versus City, said Pranav, has to be Kelleher, Bradley, Ibu, VVD, Robbo, Endo, Soboslai, Maka, Mo, Diaz, Darwin. Let me just break that down in my head. Yep, agree. Sorry, Pranav. I was just going through my head, mate. Agree. I wouldn't change a single player, mate. Welcome to Anfield Agenda FC. I'm sorry I can't pronounce your name, my friend. I don't understand the I think Japanese. Darwin. Thank God he didn't get injured, said Tanya. Nobody was getting in his way, Tanya. Nobody. That dude was getting to that pitch to celebrate. The funniest part of it all, though, for me, Tanya, was he almost saying Curtis Jones flying. Jones hobbling down the steps, and here comes Darwin. Didn't care who was in his way. It was amazing. 4-1 now to West Ham. Wow. Who scored that one? Emerson. 4-1. I think Costas will be fab under Xabi like Grimaldo. I'm going to be honest with you, Harry. I don't rate Costas that highly. I think the fairest way I can say it to you is when we signed him, he was to be an understudy to Andy Robertson, but potentially also a successor to Andy Robertson because he was younger in age. I feel very comfortable about the backup part, but I don't feel comfortable that he will get to a point where he's a regular in the starting 11 yet. Now, a different system may suit his attributes even more so, like you've pointed out, under Alonso, but that's one position where, honestly, I would be considering going into the market for somebody, because Robbo could do the job in that system as well, but I don't know longer term if he's going to be that successor. What about Trent? He won't be back, Jusko. He won't be back, mate, before the Manchester City game. The talk from Pep Linders, if I remember correctly, was after the international break. So yeah, Trent, unless something drastic happens, Trent won't be available. Sorry, Mark sent me something. Use Google Translate. It might be something like Gen or Genji, or I think he was talking about our friend who became a member. Thank you for that, Mark. You're very kind. West Ham will catch United. Fingers crossed. Will Ali be ready by Man City? No, not again, according to according to two people. According to Pep Linders and according to somebody from the Brazilian FA side who said that Alisson won't be available for selection for the upcoming international break. So, no, I think for Ali it'll be after the break as well. Now, what we do have between now and then, and actually I'd like your help on something if possible in a second. So we've got Southampton in the FA Cup on Wednesday, Nottingham Forest 3 p.m. on Saturday. Then it'll be Thursday. We have the away leg against Sparta Prague, 5:45 kickoff. Manchester City on Sunday at 3:30 kickoff, I think. And then Sparta Prague at home the following Thursday, 8 p.m. And the last game scheduled is the one I need your help on. The Everton game. I've confused myself a little bit here. Is that Everton game moved if there's a replay in the FA Cup or if we progress in the FA Cup? Or both? I just knew that Everton game was somehow in doubt for something and I don't remember which one it was. So Matthew said it's Everton away or the FA Cup last day if we get through. Okay. So that could be moved then. If we get past Southampton, even in a replay. Actually, there won't be a replay, isn't there? There's no replays in this round. There's no replays, if I'm not mistaken, in this round. It goes all the way now. So, cool. So if we get past Southampton, the Everton game gets moved. Makes sense. But that either way, that last fixture will be the last one before the March international break. Did you hear Paul Scholes saying United would pass Villa and Spurs? Did he say that while he was biting his daughter's toenails again? Or look, a lot of people that are supposedly football experts have talked a lot of shite this year. Neville telling us, if I remember correctly, that Spurs were going to be higher than Arsenal and Liverpool. That opinion there about Scholes saying United will pass Villa and Spurs. Look, United got some good results, but they're shit. I've no other way to say it. They're not a good football team. They're not a cohesive unit. They're a moment team. They rely on somebody to do something in a moment. They don't have a pattern, a style of football. They have vibes, is the best way I can describe it. And their own hubris is what caused them their downfall against Fulham. So what they assumed was going to happen was they got the equaliser with Maguire against Fulham, and then they thought, well, let's just go for it and steamroller them now because that's what we do. But they left themselves exposed, and Fulham, being the classy outfit they are, countered them, scored, and beat them. So instead of pushing and taking the point and pushing forward, they end up with nothing and more pressure on the manager. You can do this if you're Liverpool or Man City and you have a history of late comebacks. And you can say United have, but not with this team so much. They were greedy, and they didn't just take the point. They wanted to go for the 3. And, you know, it's cost us in the past. Crystal Palace 3-3, we got greedy. We looked to chase goal difference down, and the rest happened, as you know. So, yeah, United are way off the pace. Way off. And I can't remember who it was. Was it Merson? Somebody on Sky said they want the Champions League for what? Because they're not winning it. They get into the Champions League to get knocked out again in the group stage because they embarrassed themselves this year. How do you finish bottom of a group? How? As an English giant, how do you finish bottom of a Champions League group? And not a particularly hard group here. We're talking Copenhagen, Galatasaray, and who was the other team in the group? Was it PSG or somebody? No, that was Newcastle. Who was the third team in United's group? Galatasaray, Copenhagen, and somebody else. I can't remember who the other team was. Bayern. Yes, Bayern. Thank you. And you finished bottom? Scarlet for you. Not even the Europa League, like bottom. No, that's nuts. Adama outsmarted United for the counter. Yeah. It was great to see, wasn't it? Scholes and Giggs in Cork airport before flying out for the final yesterday morning. They were avoiding eye contact with all of us going through. I asked Scholes what he was eating. Cheese on toast, ba-da-bum, said Spider. Do I see Adrian getting any minutes? Maybe. He might play on Wednesday. I mean, I hope not. But, I mean, I don't think Kelleher's going to need a rest. I mean, let's be honest. The goalkeeper playing 120 minutes is not comparable to outfield players playing 120 minutes. So, if Klopp wants to be generous, maybe he plays Adrian on Wednesday. You know, it could happen. But, I don't know. I'd play Kelleher, obviously, but maybe he wants to repay Adrian. I don't know. Maybe we'll give him a run out at some point. Alfie said, love this channel. Thank you, Alfie. Appreciate you, sir. 699 likes with 2,246 people in the chat. Can we get that to 1,000 likes, folks? What we saying? If you have a second, please do hit that like button. And again, don't forget to subscribe as well. Look at the top corner. 244,418. We are truly on that march, charge, push towards 250,000 people, which is incredible. How strong do you think we line up for the game? So, Uraj, at some point, mate, I have to send Connor a predicted 11 ahead of tomorrow when we'll be putting the video out. And I've got to be honest with you, I have no clue how to put together this 11. Yep, I have to give it a bash, obviously, but let's say Kelleher, Bradley again, perhaps, Gomez, Kwanzaa, Costas, Clark, I can't even go Elliott, like. Fucking hell. Midfielders are running short. McConnell, perhaps. Don't know who the third midfielder is going to be. Up top, do I expect Dan's to start through the middle? Yeah, I do. Truly, I'm not just saying that. I think Dan's through the middle is a good show. Kumas could play in the wide area. Salah might start or might come off the bench. Neone, I don't know. Will we see Trey Neone get a start? Honestly, I've got no idea what to expect. Right, so Pranav has put in a suggested 11, so let's have a look at this. He said Kelleher, Bradley, Gomez, Kwanzaa, Chimikas. Yep. McConnell, Clark, McAllister. See, that's the one I'm not sure of. Is he going to get McAllister back out there again and then expect him to play again against Nottingham Forest on Saturday? That third midfield position is the one I'm struggling with. Dan's, Gakpo, Gordon. Yeah, I wouldn't be against. I'd love to see Kate Gordon play. Yeah, I mean, look, mate, if that's the team, I don't think you're going to be a million miles off with that one, by the way. We'll be seeing you in Boston, Craig. Love that city, said Mark. Thank you, Mark. Have you got your tickets already? If you haven't, Ticketmaster, link in the description. It's going to be good fun, mate, honestly. Can't wait for it. Cannot wait for it. I've never been to Boston before outside of the airport on a layover. But really, really fun. And by the way, what a couple of days for the good folks of Boston. Because the Anfield Rap boys are there the day before. Then we're there on the Friday night. I mean, beautiful thing in a beautiful city, so can't wait. 813 likes now. We're closing in on 1,000. What about Ben Doak? Still injured, to the best of my understanding, mate. Still injured. He was there with the pictures with the lads celebrating after the game, but yeah, I believe he's still injured. Oh, right. So, I haven't spoken yet about the link to the player from Palmeiras, which I believe was part of tonight's stream title. So don't worry. I was going to say I didn't forget, but I did. So this comes in and it said, comes from Transfer Sector, and it said, Liverpool sent a representative over to speak to the family of Palmeiras player Luis Guilherme. Liverpool are expected to make an offer in the coming days to get the deal done ahead of the summer transfer window. So, me being the spoofer that I am, went straight onto Wikipedia and had a little search for Luis Guilherme so we could find out a bit more about the man. So, this is what we know. His name is Luis Guilherme Lira dos Santos. He was born on the 9th of February 2006, which makes me feel incredibly old. The year after Istanbul, aged 18. Height 5'9". Position midfielder. Current club Palmeiras, number 31. He's made 18 senior appearances, scored 0 goals. International career, he's represented Brazil under 16, where he made 4 appearances, and Brazil under 20, where he's made 5 appearances. Obviously, South American football, Brazilian football, Argentinian football, it's hot at the minute. Lots of scouts over there watching lots of players. I don't know the validity of this interest. I don't know how strong it is. But again, just to go from the notes here as they've written them, Liverpool have sent scouts over and are expected to make an offer in the coming days to get a deal done ahead of the summer transfer window. So, A couple of things I need to understand here is who's recruiting them, because remember, we don't have a sporting director at the minute. We don't have a manager for next season. And also how much money will be involved. Because I find it very very difficult to see us spending a good chunk of money on somebody unless the new manager's given the nod. So I would imagine it would have to be a realistic price point for a player that they believe will come good, that will be happy for any manager will be happy to work with. That's my guess at this. Do we really think this will happen though? No idea. Honestly, no idea. We've been linked with lots of Argentinian and Brazilian players in recent months, and none of them really have found their way outside of McAllister, who's in the Prem, across. But, you know, look at the business that clubs like Brighton have done over the years by getting in there and getting these kids over early. And again, look at the bench last night, or look at the players from yesterday. I'll go through them again. Jarell Kwanzaa joined when he was 8. Conor Bradley joined when he was 16. Bajcetic, 16. Dans, 8. Bobby Clark, 16. McConnell, 15. Elliott, 16. Ben Doak, 16. Lewis Kumas, 11. Trainioni, 16. So maybe this is the plan. And something Jurgen Klopp said made me extremely proud. I'm trying to see if I have the quote for it. I think I might do. 1 second. I'm just trying to see if I have this quote. I've got a bit of information on Jayden Dans for you as well to go through in a moment. Yes, I do have the quote. The quote is from Jurgen Klopp: "The future of this football club is bright. We built this team properly. If it wasn't going to be okay, I wouldn't be leaving." Hard not to believe the man, isn't it? You know, because look at the youth and the players that played last night that came on. All brought in during Jurgen Klopp's tenure. All brought through from the underage teams, whether they were 16 or, you know, well, not all brought in, sorry. Some of them were there since they're 8 and 11. But some of them brought in Klopp's tenure. And they were just little dots of streams we mentioned. Liverpool signed youngster, 15-year-old. Liverpool signed youngster, 16-year-old. And we gloss over it as fans when we're talking. But then they come through the system and the impact, as Matt Thielen said, 15 academy players had represented Liverpool so far this season. That's incredible. And it's testament to what, as Jurgen said, they've built behind the scenes. A little bit on Jayden Dans from The Athletic, which is a very interesting read actually. This said, Jayden Dans is the Academy's leading scorer with 21 goals so far this season and has been on the books at Kirby since age 8 years of age when he was spotted playing futsal. But this is the part that really intrigued me when I read it. Dans was sidelined for nearly a year due to knee pain caused by Osgood Schlatter's disease after rapidly growing from 5'2" to 6 foot. But he has developed impressively over the course of the season and has filled out physically. So, I guess the question I have is, do we think potentially Bajcetic has similar type of, I'm going to use the phrase growing pains, because obviously I'm not medically qualified to talk about bits and pieces like that, but I wonder, are we seeing a similar thing with Bajcetic? Because remember, some players develop a bit quicker, some older. Stephen Gerrard, if I'm not mistaken, had some growth spurt issues when he was coming through, or shin splint issues, something like that. But one thing that struck me about Jayden Dans as soon as he came onto the pitch is he's not just there to ease his way through games. He came into that cup final yesterday looking to score the winner. Like, really legitimately looking to score the winner. Had a header, really well saved by Petrovic. Tried to follow up on Elliott's header that was nearly over the line. Played a part in Elliott's goal against Luton Town. Incredible. So I'm looking forward to getting to see a bit more of Mr. Jayden Dans. And I guess my question was for you, is there other players you think maybe like Bajcetic we're seeing a similar issue with? Osgood is a pain, but it's only during puberty, and I think Stefan's a bit too old. Well, that's why I said Miroslav, something similar. As I said, like your good self, mate, I'm not a scientist, so I don't know, but it doesn't feel like with the Bajcetic thing, it's an injury, as in one singular thing, because it would have probably recovered by now. And I don't know, it seemed to be a host of little things from what I was able to garner when I was reading back a few months back. 866 likes. Come on now. We can get that to 1,000. 130 to go before we finish up at 10 o'clock. So 13 minutes left on the stream. Xabi news. Yeah, no problem, Anton, my man. Let me just grab my notes and I will get back to you. Oh, I have another stat, by the way, that unequivocally proves that Hazard's a fraud compared to Salah. So bear with me. I'm just getting my notes on the Alonso thing so I can read it correctly. Right, so posted by Transfer Room, crediting @Santi_J_FM. Liverpool had new positive contacts with Xabi Alonso. The manager wants to move to the Reds, who will continue to push in the next weeks. Bayern is there, but for now, Xabi wants. Now Xabi is more excited to join Liverpool. Sorry. So again, no surprise there to me. That's all the information that we've been reading from everywhere. Other than, of course, Florian Plettenberg, who I think has shown that there's an agenda from the German side to report in a certain way positively towards certain teams. That's certainly how I see the situation. And he was very quick out of the gates to say that Alonso was edging or preferring or looking more positively at the Bayern interest, when we all knew that was most likely misguided. So the Salah thing, right? Let me get this. The Salah Hazard thing. Right, so as you know, I have a bit of a bee in my bonnet with Chelsea fans who try to make out like Eden Hazard was something he wasn't. And tried to say that, you know, he's better than Salah. Well, one, like I've always pointed out, it's not Mohamed Salah that has gone 2 calendar years without scoring. That's not Mo. Mohamed Salah's numbers were far more impressive than Eden Hazard's. Mohamed Salah has been far more consistent than Eden Hazard, far more professional, but also has now won more trophies. Mohamed Salah has now won more trophies at Liverpool, 7, than Eden Hazard has won at Chelsea, 6. So we can now choose the metrics we want to laugh at the Chelsea fans about when they try to make out like Eden Hazard was the Messiah, when he quite simply wasn't. He was a very good player in bursts, but nowhere near as consistent as Mohamed Salah. So once again, come on now. Mohamed Salah is head and shoulders above, and he's got 7 trophies now with a couple more to get before he finishes up at Liverpool. So, you know, Chelsea fans, just another L for you to hold. Just another one. Any chance you could do a minute or two on how to get a ticket to see Liverpool playing at Anfield? Any tips? It's a tricky subject to speak about, Michael, because I've seen a lot of people get scammed. And even people in my own Discord have been reporting in the last week or so to me that some people that they paid for tickets, nothing to do with us, by the way, we didn't point them in the direction of it, but I don't like seeing people get scammed. So it's difficult to get tickets to Anfield. You have a couple of options. Buy a membership and go into the members' draws. That's option number 1. Option number 2, buy a hospitality package direct from the club. Option number 3, buy a travel package from one of the club's official travel partners. Those last two, going to be expensive. Option 4, hope that somebody in and around the stadium can sort you with a ticket, which isn't always impossible. Sometimes it can happen if you go into certain pubs. They can sometimes have a help for you, but it's not a guarantee by any stretch. I don't feel comfortable saying anything else to you because I've seen too many people get scammed. What I would say is, if you're paying for anything, please be sensible about it. Never pay on PayPal with friends and family, because it gives you no comeback. Always make sure you pay that as if you're paying for goods and services. It gives you some protection. Never do a direct bank transfer. Again, that doesn't really give you the protection. If you're using a debit or credit card, that should give you some type of purchasing protection to be able to do a chargeback if you don't get the goods that you've paid for. Other than that, mate, there isn't anything I know of that can get you a guaranteed ticket. I'm my own time over the years, I was in a supporters club. Sometimes got tickets via that. Sometimes a mate of a mate got tickets. Sometimes I paid for packages with travel companies. And more recently, since the channel started to grow and sponsors have come in and stuff, occasionally we get offered the odd thing here or there. I'm being honest with you, I don't want to steer you in the wrong direction. And most importantly, I don't want to see any of you get fleeced. You know, I don't know how these scumbags sleep at night that rob people. I mean, travel companies and all, that's a different conversation. But I mean, people who are genuinely out to just defraud people of tickets. You've seen probably even, what's her name? Astrid Wet for the final. Her ticket was apparently fake as well. And she posted on social media, and some man, I think, had a spare ticket because his son wasn't going. And, you know, she was lucky enough that she was able to get into the game anyway. And she's, you know, a fairly well-known person. So for her to be scammed as well, it can happen to anyone. So be really careful about it. And I would say, if you want peace of mind, you know, you may have to pay for the travel partners of the club and pay a little bit higher. Or hope you get lucky in the members' draws. Craig, I know it was ages ago, but what the hell happened to Andre? 1 minute he was being looked at by every single club, now he's invisible. I was weirdly thinking a little bit about Andre earlier on LFC edits. Don't know, because, you know, first it was Liverpool wanted him. They didn't want to sell in the winter window, or they didn't want to sell in the summer window. They're willing to do business in the winter window. So then they went on and they won the Copa Libertadores. He went over, played in the Club World Cup. Then it came time for the winter window, and all of a sudden it was, well, Liverpool aren't interested anymore. Fulham were interested. Fulham were looking to move Palhinha on. That never materialised, and Fulham's interest seemingly went away when they couldn't agree fee with the selling club. Other than that, I'd heard of interest from clubs in Italy or whatever, but right now he's still at Fluminense, and unless I've missed something and he's moved on elsewhere, but I don't know. It just goes to show you how quickly the football world can move, right? So Liverpool did have interest, did register that interest, did try to be respectful to Fluminense when they didn't want to sell him in the summer, because obviously their season goes differently. But then when it came around to the winter market, we had Endo and he was doing bits, and Liverpool deemed that position no longer a concern. Craig, Klopp predicted an Endo contract extension in the near future. Well, they gave him, was it a 3 or 4 year deal, Endo, when he came in. But look, if the club feel like he deserves a pay rise and a little bit of an extension, good on him. Good on Endo. He's been, look, he's an incredibly likeable man, isn't he? It's easy to admire him, like him, and get behind and want him to do well. He carries himself like a proper warrior. So yeah, cool. If the club want to give him a new deal, brilliant. But the priority right now for us, and by the way, 965 likes, only 35 to go. The priority for us has to be to sort out the Mohamed Salah, the Trent Alexander-Arnold, and the Virgil van Dijk situation. Has to be the priority. Because they're the ones that are, you know, the closest to leaving, other than Thiago Matip, whose contracts are up in the summer. They'll have 1 year to go, and big decisions are going to have to be made around what happens with those gents. It was a 3-year deal, people are saying in the chat, was it? Grant. Yeah, so look, I think we can all see that Endo at 31, you know, probably can play till he's 35, 36 at the top level in that position. I think he seems one of those players that isn't certainly showing signs of fatiguing, is he? He looks like he's the Energizer Bunny. Will we be able to keep Kelleher? Truth is, I don't know the answer to that. We discussed it earlier on. I can see both sides of this. I can see Kelleher and the club may be feeling his stock is at an all-time high, where the club could probably get the highest fee, and Kelleher the highest caliber of club at this point if a move was to take place. And I can also see the side of it, of course, where we have potentially one of the best number 2s in world football. And if we sell him, that's all very well and good from a financial standpoint. But we've got to find somebody who can come in and do a job, because we don't know if Alisson's hamstring is going to cause concerns moving on. And we don't know how Yaros and Pitaluga are going to progress. So I don't know the answer at this point. But I will put it in the category of a nice headache for the club to have. Klopp said the first day Endo arrived, glad you're here, we need your legs. I remember that, my friend. Yes, I remember the interview. Or the meeting, I think the meeting of them when they first crossed paths in Kirby. Will Szoboszlai and Núñez be back for the Forest game? Szoboszlai, I feel really comfortable to say yes. Salah, I feel comfortable to say yes. Darwin, I hope yes. I hope so. I certainly think of those 3, Salah, Szoboszlai, Darwin, I'd be astonished if 2 of them, at least, weren't in the squad for Forest. Maybe all 3. Yeah, it didn't look like there was too many ill effects being felt there by Darwin when he was vaulting over things and legging it down steps. And Szoboszlai himself said that he was almost arguing a fight with the medical team, wanting to play in the final. So you'd hope they're close. But how satisfying, before we finish up, how satisfying was it to see the kids do it yesterday? Klopp made those changes towards the end of normal time because he wanted legs, and it worked. And yes, he had to sacrifice experience, but he knew we'd need legs and we'd need energy in that extra time period. And those young men did not let him down one bit. And if anything, it makes the victory even sweeter, because it makes Chelsea look even worse, on top of obviously giving our kids the credit they deserve. And it was remarkable. And to hear Klopp talk about how it's, the most impressive or the most enjoyable of his wins as a manager, I can understand that, because that's the product of his recruitment and his coach's work. To see those young men out there performing as admirably and at a high level as they had. I seen Lee Clark, actually, Bobby Clark's father, being interviewed on Sky earlier on, and I don't know Lee Clark, obviously. No, he's a former pro, but just by listening to the man talk, you could see how Bobby Clark comes from a well-grounded, one step at a time family. It was very nice to hear him speak about the final yesterday, and obviously how proud he was of his son. It's it's great times, and who knows what we have ahead of us for the remainder of the campaign. But one trophy in the bag, and I think that somewhat takes the pressure off, because Jurgen, whatever happens now in his final season, we know he's going to be departing with silverware. We want more. He wants more, I'm sure, but somewhat pressure off now, because 1 in the bag, 3 more to play for. Let's put our best foot forward and see what the future brings. And that game on the 10th against Manchester City, it's going to be epic. Absolutely epic. I cannot wait. Right, so just a reminder before I finish up. If you're in Boston, 22nd of March, House of Blues, Foundation Room, which is the smaller venue in there. You can find tickets in the link. If you're part of the OLSC, please email us, contact@anfieldagenda.com. We'd love to give you guys some free tickets to help connect with you and reach out while we're in your city. So appreciate it. And I will see you guys at 4 o'clock tomorrow. We'll be back for the regular daytime slot, 4 o'clock and then 8:30 as well. And of course on Wednesday, we'll be taking you guys through the Southampton FA Cup game with a full watch-along, match reaction, player ratings video, everything you would expect from us on a match day. And thank you for everything, for the last few months, for yesterday, for today, for all the support of the channel. It's been brilliant so far, and who knows what the future has in store for us. So love you guys to bits. Thank you, and I will